Please put your hands together and let's welcome Dr. Dilip P. Bhanushali, National Immediate Past President, Indian Medical Association, for a keynote address on building trust in healthcare, addressing violence against healthcare professionals.
Distinguished dignitaries, respected policymakers, fellow healthcare professionals, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I stand here before you today to speak on a subject that goes beyond healthcare. It concerns the very fabric of trust that binds society together. The topic for today, given to me, is building trust in healthcare, addressing violence against healthcare professionals. This is not merely a professional concern. It is a national concern. It is a society concern. It's a human concern. Now let me begin with a stark reality. 3 out of every 4 doctors in India report having faced some sort of workplace violence during their professional careers. Now, recent studies reveal that over 60% of the healthcare workers have experienced violence, predominantly verbal abuse, while physical assaults continue to rise. Emergency departments remain the most dangerous workplace for doctors and nurses. Now, between 2021 and 2025, 149 incidents of violence against healthcare personnel were officially reported in India. That was in Delhi alone. Yet only a fraction resulted in formal legal action. Now, these are not merely statistics. Behind every number is a doctor who went home shaken, a nurse who cried silently after his night shift, a resident doctor who wondered whether their saving lives was worth for risking this profession, a young medical student who began questioning the profession even before receiving the first stethoscope. Now, this tragedy is not only that violence exists. The tragedy is that it slowly become normalized. For decades, doctors were viewed as healers, guides, and trusted companions during humanity's most vulnerable moments. Today, many of them have become targets. We have become the soft targets. When a patient dies despite of our best efforts, grief often seeks an outlet. Unfortunately, that outlet increasingly becomes the doctor standing nearest to his bedside. A doctor may not control the disease. A doctor may not control the shortage of hospital beds. A doctor may not control delayed referrals. A doctor may not control the limitation of medical science. But let us all recognize the fundamental truth that no doctor enters a medical college with the intention of harming a patient. The oath we take, the years of sacrifice we endure, the sleepless nights we spend in hospitals all stem from a single purpose, that is to heal. Yet medicine is not mathematics. Not every illness can be cured. Not every complication can be predicted. Not every life can be saved. Despite the best treatment, despite adherence to established protocols, despite the most sincere efforts of an entire medical team, some patients may not recover. There are many occasions where errors of judgment occur. Doctors are human beings, not infallible machines. When mistakes happen, they must be investigated fairly, transparently, scientifically. Accountability is essential, but accountability can never be justification for violence. A good outcome is not necessarily negligence. A complication is not necessarily misconduct. A death is not necessarily a crime. This distinction is important because justice demands facts, not assumptions. Yet when tragedy strikes, it's often the doctor who bears the anger. As the saying goes, when treatment succeeds, medicine gets the credit. When treatment fails, the doctor gets the blame. Friends, trust is the oxygen of healthcare. Without trust, every prescription is questioned. Without trust, every diagnosis is doubted. Without trust, every conversation becomes a confrontation. And without trust, patients themselves become bigger victims. As Dr. Bhaskar had rightly said, the importance of communication with the patient is of utmost importance. The Indian Medical Association has constantly maintained that violence against healthcare workers is not merely an attack on an individual doctor, it is an attack on the entire healthcare delivery system. When doctors practice under a fear, defensive medicine increases. When healthcare professionals feel unsafe, morale decreases. When talented young students witness repeated attacks, fewer choose critical specialties. When hospitals become zones of fear, patients' care inevitably suffers. Ultimately, the victim is not the doctor alone. The victim is the patient waiting for treatment. The victim is the family searching for hope. The victim is the society itself. One of the most painful reminders of this crisis was the horrific incident of R.G. Kar Medical College and Hospital. Here, I'd like to tell this august audience was that when this happened in Calcutta, IMO was the first organization to respond. And with that, you saw that Supreme Court sumo motu case against took this sumo motu case. It formed a national body to go into the depth of this, recommendation on this. That's all that had happened. But unfortunately, we still see the violence still occurring. The brutal rape and murder of this young doctor shocked the consciences of the nation. The tragedy was not merely about one individual. It symbolized the vulnerability of thousands of healthcare professionals who work tirelessly through nights, emergencies, pandemics, disasters, and personal sacrifices. It raised the fundamental question: if a doctor is not safe inside a hospital, where he or she is safe? The nation mourned, the medical fraternity grieved, but grief alone is not enough. We need action. Indian Medical Association has repeatedly emphasized the expression of sympathy, however sincere, cannot be substituted for systemic reforms. Now, for the information, IMA had gone against Consumer Protection Act of the Supreme Court. The three-bench judgment which came 3 years back clearly were against the doctors getting this. We were arguing that when the lawyers and the judges are out of the preview of Consumer Protection Act, why doctors? We once again went to the Supreme Court series, but unfortunately, this thing was not taken up. But the good news is, only 3 months back, Supreme Court once again gave a permission that IMA can approach the Supreme Court, and the next hearing is on 22nd June. Now, for years, the medical fraternity has been demanding a comprehensive central law for the protection of healthcare personnel and healthcare institutions, while several states have enacted legislations, implementation requires inconsistent, and enforcement is often weak. In fact, you should remember that the Andhra Pradesh, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, was the first state in the country to bring that legislation. Violence against healthcare workers is not a state-specific problem. It is a national challenge requiring a national response. During my tenure, I had an opportunity to meet with the Honorable Home Minister of India, Amit Shah ji, twice regarding this matter. He emphasized that since health and law order is a state subject, we should approach the state government for this. And we approached the health minister so many times. In fact, I met the CM also twice. Unfortunately, though we have the legislation, it's not been implemented properly. We therefore review our call for a robust central legislation, thus endorse deterrent punishment, mandatory registration of offences, speedy investigation, and time-bound prosecution of those who assault healthcare personnel or damage healthcare facilities. At the same time, laws on paper alone cannot protect doctors. Existing laws must be implemented in a letter and spirit. The certainty of enforcement is often more important than the severity of punishment. Now, here I should say that the law which was passed that day was that 3 years imprisonment with a bailable warrant. What IMA was asking was 7 years imprisonment and non-bailable warrant. Few of the states have agreed to this, like Maharashtra, Bihar, Haryana. We are asking same thing from the Telangana government also. Let us see how far we'll be successful in this. We strongly advocate adoption of structural crisis management mechanism, such as Code Grey Protocol, successfully implemented in Kerala. Such protocols provide a standardized response to aggressive behavior, mobilize trained personnel, de-escalate conflict, and protect patients, attendants, and healthcare workers alike. Every major healthcare institution in India should have a well-defined Code Grey system backed by training, drills, and accountability. We must also honestly acknowledge another factor contributing to this growing trust deficit. A small number of unethical practices within the healthcare delivery scrutiny and correction should be done. No profession is above accountability. However, isolated incidents are often amplified disappropriately through the sensational television debates, social media trials, cinematic portrayals, and political rhetoric. One medical error becomes a headline. One unethical practitioner becomes the face of the entire profession. One isolated incident becomes a narrative. Unfortunately, in today's age of instant media, nuances become so sacrificed for the sensitization. As a society, we must remember that Satyame Jayate does not mean Ardha Satya. Truth is not served by presenting only one side of a complex story. That truth requires a context, truth requires evidence, truth requires fairness. When a medical incident is portrayed selectively, when allegations are present as conclusions, when television studios conduct trials before investigations are complete, the result is not public awareness but public prejudice. The overwhelming majority of doctors work with honesty, competence, and compassion. Yet a few isolated incidents are sometimes projected in a manner that creates the impression that the entire profession is suspect. Such narratives may attract viewership, political mileage, or social media engagement, but they carry a very heavy cost. They weaken public confidence, deepen mistrust, and create an atmosphere where doctors become easy targets and anger and aggression. The society thus loses trust in its health healers, ultimately harms its patients. Now, the results are dangerous. Millions of honest doctors who dedicate their lives to a patient, care becomes suspect in the public imagination. The public begins to see the exception as the rule. The relations of trust gradually erodes. When films repeatedly portray doctors as villains, when social media circulates misinformation without verification, when political discourse seeks easy scapegoats, society begins to lose faith in those who are trying to save their lives. Now, let me be clear. Constructive criticism strengthens healthcare, sensitization weakens healthcare, accountability builds trust, verification destroys trust. Not verification. We must remember, a profession cannot be judged by its rare failures, but by the millions of lives it touches every day. Every morning across India, doctors enter hospital knowing that they will witness pain, uncertainty, suffering, and sometimes death. Yet they continue, not because the profession is easy, but because the profession is noble. A doctor misses family functions and attend emergencies. A resident works through exhaustion. A surgeon carries the emotional burden of every outcome. A nurse comforts strangers at moments when family members cannot remain present. These stories rarely become headlines. Yet they are repeated thousands of times every single day across the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to move from outrage to solutions. The Indian Medical Association proposes a multi-pronged approach to this. First, stronger legal protection. Violence against healthcare professionals must invite swift and certain consequences. Mandatory FIR registration should be ensured. Existing laws protecting healthcare workers must be uniformly enforced across the states. Fast-track investigation prosecution mechanisms should be established. Second, safer hospitals, designate them as safe zones. Declare those areas as safe zones. Every healthcare institution should undertake regular security audits. Adequate CCTV surveillance, trained security personnel, panic alert systems, and controlled access zones should become standard practice. No healthcare professional should fear for his or her safety while providing care. Third, communication, as has been rightly said before the two speakers who gave all the details why communication is so important. Research constantly intensifies communication gaps is the major trigger for conflict. Doctors need structured communicating training. Hospitals and established dedicated patient relations teams to provide timely updates and manage. Empathy communicated effectively can often prevent escalation. Fourth, public awareness. We need a nation campaign emphasizing mutual respect between patients and the healthcare providers. The message must be simple. Violence delays treatment. Violence harms patient. Violence saves no lives. Fifth, responsible media engagement. The media has tremendous power. It can build bridges or deepen divisions. We appeal for the responsible reporting that investigates facts before creating narratives and highlighting the countless positive contributions by the healthcare professionals every day. Sixth, a national database. India urgently needs a centralized database documenting incidents of violence against healthcare workers. What is not measured cannot be effectively addressed. Evidence-based policy making requires reliable data. I am happy to share that IMA, during my presidency, I created a registry on violence in the healthcare, and I've written to all our president secretaries of the country to have this data regarding violence. Friends, the future of healthcare cannot be built on fear. It must be built on trust. Trust is not demanded. Trust should be earned. Doctor must continue earning it through competence, compassion, ethics, and transparency. Society must protect those who dictate their lives to healing. Government must create systems that ensure safety. Media must inform without inflaming. Any citizens must remember that doctors are not machines. They are human beings. They experience grief. They experience fatigue. They experience loss. They experience fear. Yet every day they choose to serve. Now allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude. When a doctor's hands tremble with fear, a patient's future trembles with them. When a doctor's hands work with confidence, hope itself finds healing. Protect the healer, you protect healing itself. Let us therefore commit ourselves to rebuilding trust, restoring dignity, and ensuring safety. Because healthcare flourishes not in the atmosphere of fear, but in an environment of mutual respect, understanding, and compassion. Together, let us create a healthcare system where doctors heal without fear, patients seek care with confidence, and trust once again becomes the strongest medicine of all. Ladies and gentlemen, at IMA, we have been advocating all this, what we have been talking about, and it's very important. This message should be percolated to the society, to the media, and the common man of India. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank the Times Now people for calling me and me this opportunity. Jai Hind. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would request if we can please stay back on the stage. as I invite Ms. Kalpana also to please join me on the stage. Thank you so much, sir, for the stellar keynote address. As you have beautifully articulated one of the most critical challenges of our time, addressing the issue of violence against healthcare professionals. May I request Ms. Kalpana to please present a token of appreciation to Dr. Dilip. I want everyone, if you can please put your hands together. Thank you so much.